Mako TV from Nlunkulu's kitchen. I hope everyone is doing well and excited for what I'm about to show you today. My emphasis for this dish is based on one of the biggest problems that the hospitality industry faces, which is wastage. But wastage doesn't only occur in fancy restaurants. It happens most often than not in your own home. So I'm going to show you how to take a few leftovers found in your fridge and convert it into a delicious meal for your entire family. What I'm going to be showing you today is quite simple. It involves just basic ingredients that you can whip up together to make sure everyone has a smile on their face. I'm going to be showing you how to make a dish called creamy garlic chicken and rice bake. That's a mouthful, hey? Well, so is this dish. If you're interested, please continue to watch this video and try this for yourself at home. Also, please make sure that while you're on the internet, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Nlunkulu's Kitchen with Mako TV. Lots of love, take care, and happy eating. Mwah. There are various steps to this recipe, different elements that we need to prepare in order for us to have everything ready. So we're going to start off with our chicken fillet. Now these are just fillets that I found in the freezer. I have about 5. You can use 4 or 6 depending on how many people you are serving. And what I want to do is we're going to marinate this, right? But before we do that, I want to just show you we're using a knife, a very sharp knife. I'm just using a paring knife. I want to make slits on the surface of the chicken. Now the reason why we're doing this is so that when we are putting our marinade, it will get into these grooves and the flavor will be even better, right? I'm using fillets without the chicken skin. Preferably, if you do have chicken skin, keep it on, especially if you're a fan of it. It adds nice flavor and texture to when this is done. So how are we going to marinate this? Very, very simple. Let's start off with some salt. Be generous with your seasoning. It's just salt and freshly ground black pepper. Okay, we're gonna just throw that in together with some freshly ground black pepper. You could like to add any other flavors depending on your preference. That's fine. And the one ingredient that picks this up like totally is the use of garlic and herb butter. Garlic and herb butter is very easy to make at home. What's more convenient is buying it from the store, which is what I've done. So we're just going to throw on some here onto the chicken together with some a little bit solidified butter, like compound butter if you'd like, right? So we're going to get as much flavor in there. As you marinate, give it a nice rub. Make sure that your marinade is getting into the grooves of those slits that you've made onto the chicken. Simple stuff that you probably already have at home, which is your salt, your pepper. If you cannot find garlic butter in a store, you can just use normal butter that you have at home, add a bit of garlic to it, put some herbs in there, let it freeze for a bit, and you have your butter. Okay, so it takes a little bit of effort getting the marinade on, but as long as you have your chicken coated in it, that's perfectly fine. And yes, you're making it for your own family. Be responsible enough to make sure your hands are washed when you're using it, because your hands are the best too. Just going to try and pour in a little bit of the melted part of the butter. And that's basically how you marinate your chicken for this dish. Okay, I can see that most of the butter has gone into the slits of the chicken, which is a good thing. Right, and then that is your chicken that's marinated. We're going to get on to preparing it now. So I have a pan on my stove on medium heat. I just added a little bit of oil, and most of it is the garlic butter that I've used, right? Just so that your chicken doesn't stick. We're gonna go in with putting your chicken the slit side facing down first, right? Just like that. Remember, slit side facing down. Now, how long does this take? Chicken is a type of protein that cooks very fast. Once the flesh turns from pink to white, you know it's done. So let's just give it about 4 to 5 minutes on either side. Remember that this is going to be popped into the oven later, so it doesn't have to be cooked fully now. It can be partially cooked because the rest of the cooking process will happen in the oven. Okay, and then we're going to turn it after 4 or 5 minutes have passed. Just moving it around. This one is not done as yet. That's it. As I said, we're just partially cooking it now. So if it does look a bit raw in certain areas, that's perfectly fine. So once the chicken has been done, set it aside, and we are now ready to move on to the next step. Alright, moving on to our next step. I just put a pot on the stove on low heat. I've chopped up 1 onion and I've just put it into the pot with some oil. Should have been some butter actually, because we're going to be sauteing the onions. While this is being done, I'm just going to let you know what other stuff I'm going to be using for this dish, right? So, very usual, it happens at home that we cook sometimes maybe curry and rice. Curry gets finished, rice is left over, most often than not gets thrown in the bin. So this is day-old rice that I have. It's about a cup and a half. If you're using this recipe and you're doing everything fresh and you want to know how much of rice to use, at least 1 cup should be enough. Also, I'm using at least 1.5 cups of cheese sauce. Now this cheese sauce can be purchased at the store. You can buy it off the sachets, or you can make it at home, which is what I've done. Basic flour, buttermilk, your white pepper and salt. I've used a cup of cheddar cheese. I like cheddar cheese because it melts very lovely, but you can use any cheese of your choice or even a mixture of cheese. And what I do at the end, before the sauce is actually complete, I throw in 1 egg, which actually richens the sauce, makes it very tasty. So I'm using that, and I've mixed together 1 cup of chicken stock. So it's basically the normal chicken stock cubes that you buy, diluted in 250 ml of water, or you can buy the liquid chicken stock that they sell. So these are the basic stuff that we're going to be using, all going into 1 pot. Remember that the rice is cooked already, your cheese sauce is made already, so it's not much of effort on the stove. So make sure that your heat is actually low. We don't want to burn anything. So just getting these onions sauteed. Sauteing of onions normally is basically frying onions in butter or any type of fat. In this instance, I'm using normal cooking oil. Okay, into my onions, just lowering my heat a bit more, I'm going to be throwing in my leftover rice. Just all into that pot of onions, so the onions will mix together nicely with the rice, and in this way your rice gets heated also. When making a baked dish like the one that I'm doing, it's actually good to use maybe a day-old type of rice, because the rice becomes firmer and it holds the shape and bakes quite well. Now, into my rice, what I'm going to be doing is throwing in the cup of chicken stock that I've made. I'm just mixing it a bit more. If there's parts that are not dissolved, it's fine, it's going to dissolve in the pot. So that cup of chicken stock goes in like that. Throw in those parts that haven't dissolved as well, and you can just break them down in the pot with a fork. Okay, that will disperse the flavor of the stock as well. Now, for this dish, I've used just 1 cup of chicken stock because I do not want the rice to become runny. It needs to hold its shape. So most of the chicken stock, after infusing with the rice, is going to evaporate, which is exactly what we want. So at this stage, you are welcome to turn up the heat on your stove. Just let that sit a bit until most of the liquid has reduced, and what I'm talking about is the liquid from the chicken stock. Once your chicken stock liquid has reduced considerably, I'm then going to add in my cheese sauce and put all of it in. The consistency of my cheese sauce is actually quite thick. I pop it into the fridge just to get a bit thicker as well. Doesn't need to be that runny. Okay, so your cheese sauce goes in there, and then you mix everything in the pot together nicely. Let them get mixed well. You're going to sort of get like a porridge, like you're making oatmeal, which is not bad. The smell is divine, from the cheese sauce to the stock to the onions that have been sauteed. It's amazing. So we're going to leave this on the stove a bit until it gets a bit thicker, and then we're going to move on to our oven. So we have fried off our chicken partially. We have made our mixture of rice, cheese sauce, onions and chicken stock. It's now ready to bake in the oven. So I've got a oven friendly dish here. You can use any shape that you want, and basically we're going to first start off by pouring in the rice. Okay, so just give the rice a quick mix again, and we pour this inside. Just get all of it there. Okay, just gonna level it out if we need to be fancy. Then we're gonna get our chicken. chicken, and we're going to place it on top of this, right? So let me just get our chicken that we've done, and just going to place it on top like that. The chicken will start sinking because obviously it's heavy for the rice. Just try and get as much space as you can for all of them to fit. Oops, I think I just need to move that one a bit so I don't have any issues with space. In goes this guy, and then this guy at the end. Okay, so chicken is placed there. We're going to put this into an oven that has been preheated at 180 degrees Celsius. Using a piece of foil, we're going to cover this nicely. This goes into your oven, baked with the foil on for 15 to 20 minutes. Thereafter you remove the foil and you bake for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then garnish and serve. And that's how you're done making use of leftovers at home.